Hello and welcome to the channel. I am Dave, Gamers World resident Magic the Gathering expert, and today we're going to be opening a pre-release pack for Modern Horizons 2. Modern Horizons 2 is a new set out, and it introduces a bunch of new cards and a couple reprints into the older formats like Legacy, Modern. Obviously these cards are also playable in Commander, but unfortunately because of current global conditions we are going to miss out on another pre-release. That bums me out, but I'm still going to show you guys how I'd go about building a deck out of a pre-release pack. You can still purchase these on our website, gamersworld.ie. The link is in the description. You can still play at home now that households are able to visit each other, which I'd highly recommend. I'm probably going to try with a few of my friends, maybe outside with a drink as well. But some of you I know out there might have never made a pre-release pack. You might be new to Arena, or unfortunately started playing Magic during COVID. So this is the exact video for you, and I'm going to show you how I approach it every time I play a pre-release. Let's open the pack. I can't remember, besides these videos, I just don't get to open physical cards anymore. Poor me. I really like this kind of uniform packaging they have for everything. I know Wizards made a big deal of this in one of their Twitch ads, but this is the first non-standard set to get a pre-release kit, which I thought was kind of nice. Traditional spin down, just with the set symbol on it. And we got our first seeded pack. Usually the Fortune's Flame. I don't know about yous out there, but I kind of like the new symbol for pre-release. 2021, it has the year on it instead. Kind of a mix between the old one and the new one. And they usually have something like this on it, which is a bit of kind of lore and a quick explanation on how to build your deck, though we're going to go through that ourselves. First thing I usually do with these pre-release packs, besides really pray for luck over them, maybe exchange it with my luckier friend, is I just divide them into their colors, and we're going to have a look and see kind of the strong cards in each color. That's going to dictate a lot of what we play. I'm going to go through these a little quickly. I know some of you haven't seen these cards before, especially if you haven't played them on Magic Online. We'll have a bit of a closer look as we make our deck. Lands, we get the common land cycle is going to be very important for sealed in this format, kind of dictating what you play a bit more. Ooh, Misty Rainforest. Can we cut this video? Does my boss need to know I made this video? Tokens out of here. Another nice new rare. Oh, this is an old one. I won't go too much to the cards yet, but Hunting Pack is one of the first cards I had in the deck when I was younger. Back in my day. I have multicolor. Here we go. So not all of these are going to be playable. We're just color sorting them for the moment and staring at all on some of the cool cards. And pumping our fist at the expensive rares, but we're going to go through them a bit more in depth once I'm done opening. So this set, if you've played pre-releases before, is going to be a little bit different. And ooh, look, the old border. Our old border card for the... I love the old borders. It's going to be a bit different to ones you've played before because the power level is going to be distinctly higher. And maybe two. Ooh, two in the same pack. I didn't know that was possible. It's throwing me off. It's an artifact. And there's going to be a lot more kind of high synergies that we're going to go through. So maybe your traditional view of what a bomb is or what like a really powerful card is going to be a bit askew in this set, and it's going to be in a lot of the uncommons because a lot of the other cards are so powerful. So it's something we have to keep in mind to not maybe get overly attached to a rare or mythic or uncommon, because the cards are going to do some pretty strong things when you bring them together. And it's a little more like draft than it is traditional sealed, in which you're trying to build more of a complete deck, I think, or a deck with as many nice synergies as you can, instead of just a lot of other sealed formats. You just jam all your most powerful cards and cross your fingers. And we got a lot of old border cards in this. I hope they're this frequent in the normal set. I love the old border stuff. I also, for some reason, I was told you could only get these in foil, but these are all non-foil. Shows what I know. So much conflicting information about all the sets being previewed. I called myself the expert. Even, I'll use this card as a little example before we get to it a bit. I think this card, Soul of Migration, it's a flying 2/4. You make 2/1/1s when it comes to play. You can evoke it for 4 or play it for 7. In a normal set, this would be uncommon level, power level, but this is just an okay white common in this set. So that's very much worth keeping in mind. Same with this. This is just like a slow Mole Drifter at common. Again, this would be absolutely insane at uncommon in any normal set. Last pack, some pretty decent opens so far. Pretty happy. Oh, that's a foil. Look at this. Priest of the Foul Rites. I like these promos. This is the new promo from the set. The kind of like, I don't know, color fade I would call it. I'm not exactly sure what I'd call the promo style. But it's the nicest one they've done in a while. And the foiling's really subtle. I don't know if you're even going to be able to make it out on camera. Which is nice. Subtle I don't know if it is actually the case, but subtle foiling is probably going to mean slightly less. Oh, look at this. Look at a good boy. Going to be slightly less bending in the cards. Triple Healer's Hawk. Ooh, this is one of the anticipated cards from the set. Going to change joined in a bunch of formats. A play on Noble Hierarch from older sets. Okay, so once I have all my colors laid out. Oh, sorry, we forgot to open our seed pack. Rare, almost. I'm so used to, again, old school back in my days. I'm so used to those packs being one rare, opposed to a couple different cards. Oh, there's only tokens this time. There's only tokens this time, guys. That's okay. The last couple of sets, Strixhaven had also cards in it, but these are just some double face tokens. That's actually a really nice idea. Playing a pre-release, just have a bunch of tokens instead of anyone that's played before knows you're scrambling around for the tokens sometimes. Okay, so let's jump in. So what I do now is I've just completely color divided these, and I'll go through the cards and see which cards I consider playable. And playable doesn't always have to mean like strictly bad. Unplayable isn't just strictly bad. It's cards I just don't want to end up in my deck at the end. Some of them I might add when I need extra cards, but I want like good high power level cards because that's going to help me make my decision of which colors I want to be in. So Seal is good. Infiltrator's good. He's a good boy. He's making my deck no matter what. Look at him. Yes, he is. We're seeing a lot of old mechanics come back. This set reminds me a little bit of Time Spiral. This one has Wizard Cycling. It's random. I think it's the only card with Wizard Cycling in a set. This one will depend on like what other cards we have in our deck, but I think it's good. The affinity cards kind of will put in the good playable pile, but obviously they might not make the cut even if our deck is very good, just because they don't have the synergies. There's going to be a lot of the cards in our playable pile here. So Shiny is the same. Certain decks, this card's like a C+ to an F, but we have to put it in our playables. And I think you're going to come along a lot of cards like this. Yeah, exact same with the Junk Winder here. You're just going to say, well, if I get enough things to make that archetype, then it's excellent. This guy I'm not as high on. He's the old Phantasm drawback. It's a spell or ability, not just a spell. So I don't think... I'd have to do a little bit more research on exactly what abilities target him, but I don't think he's good enough. This card is probably not going to make the cut. You need a lot of things to be going right to make it, but it's very grindy win condition. This card's fine. So blue is, lacks a bit of removal, has some high synergies, has one removal spell that's like dependent on having tokens. So maybe not looking amazing. Some fine cards, but not blown away. This card's very good, extremely good, but very hard to cast. Keep it in playable pile for now. A lot of mediums. This guy's fine. I think this is a sideboard. Seal Cleansing. Late to Dinner. I love this card. Esper Sentinel also going to be very good. Taxing your opponent, making auto removal cost one more, giving you a card. Combat tricks are fine. Depends on a lot of other things going on in your deck. I think this one is good because it's hexproof. So it's basically a little counter spell in white to a point. Yeah, all these are fine. I think this is a sideboard card. This card's very good. This is a high synergy card. There's some things that are great with it. I think in general you're not going to play it. Like, there's a couple combos. This is like a combo with it. You just keep trading it into other artifacts and bringing it back with the Abiding Grace. But again, nothing amazing. This rare is very good if we have a couple lifelinkers, which we said we did. This is fine. But again, don't be fooled by the rare symbol. This card's only good. Which, you know, it's hard to take yourself out of those situations and evaluate on just what the card says, because you're so conditioned to think this symbol means good. And that's a huge lesson I think you can learn in limited Magic. But again, mediocre, not that much removal, which is something important we're looking for. Not out and out bombs, but some fine cards. I like this card a lot, actually. Just because it's modular. Again, this card's value goes way down if we don't have enough artifacts to be passing these counters to. This card I'm still unsure on. I think it's fine though. I think this guy's just bad. A lot of affinity cards in our red. You'll see a lot of the cards actually in this, like this, everything is so fine, is so conditionally playable, that a lot of cards we're removing are just like pure sideboard cards. This one's okay. I think it's flexibility. Like, split cards like this a lot of time are just worse individual cards, but because they're split, you have so many options, and that's why they tend to be good cards. So you never want to just go, you know, with a split card, is this good or is this good? You want to say, are they good to have the options together? And I think the answer is probably yes with this card. It's got 5 mana, 5/5 modular, basically very powerful. At common, there's a lot of just like vanilla good common creatures in this format. This is also fine. Again, a bit underwhelming. Some removal in red. No out and out bombs. Some synergies. We have some good artifact stuff going. So maybe we end up in like an affinity deck. This card's very good. Because usually the downside of mana creatures, for those who've never played with like Birds of Paradise or Noble Hierarch, is that later in the game, they don't do anything. They're just like another land in your deck. But this is exalted all the time. This card is just good. Reinforce, I really like this card. Reinforce and Scavenge. You're going to have to read up on a lot of keywords if you're going to play this with your friends. But a reminder text, and if you're at your local pre-release, that's what calling a judge or one of the tournament runners is for. I'll always say to people, never be scared to show up to a pre-release. That those kind of events are meant for people that are new to Magic and looking to enjoy it. Like, the staff is there to help facilitate that. And if you decide to go, never be scared to just call a judge. No, I don't know what this does. That doesn't matter. No one's judging you. Everyone's started at pre-releases. I barely knew how to play the game when I went to my first pre-release, all the way back in Mirrodin. And now I still barely know how to play the game, and I still go to pre-releases. Hunt of the Pack is a bit deceptive, because I'm not sure if this card is good enough, but the whole point of it originally in Limited, and the point now, is it's not a 7 mana 4/4, it's usually a 7 mana 3/4/4s, because you're waiting for your opponent to go play 2 creatures, you know, go to attack, and you like make 3 guys, because Storm counts, in case you didn't know, your opponent's stuff, not just your stuff. What is it? I actually don't think I've seen this card. That's I think this card's too narrow even in its archetype. Harvest is fantastic though. Ooh. We've had this before. A little bit of issues. I'll show you the good and bad stuff. A little bit of issues in card printing Magic over the last couple of years. The stock sometimes isn't amazing. This is a fresh opened common, and it's a little warped. That's not nice though. They have been getting better, I think, over the last year. Bone Shards is these. Oh, sorry, I didn't comment on green. I think I should also comment. We haven't seen our multicolor cards yet. Green looks very much like a supporting color, but its creatures are very individually powerful and very well statted, and that seems kind of just to be green in this format in general. And I have this guy that leads to some absurd starts. 2 more green cards here, obviously, that I've missed. These cards, also another very good one in the Scurrying Oak. So green, I think, is a little bit ahead of like green, red and blue, but they're all pretty neck and neck. They're all just like these fine set of commons. I have nothing pulling me one way or another too hard. I'm unsure where this card is because I'm not sure how fast the format is. The slower the format is, the more rewarded you get by discard spells because they're not punishing you by putting more pressure on you. I'm hazarding a guess that it's good because all the creatures is so good they're going to trade off. You want to be 2-4ing your opponent. This is actually a good 2-drop. Again, a problem with 2-drops like mana creatures in these formats are that they scale poorly into the late game. The later you draw them, the worse they are. You'd obviously like 5, 6, and 7 drops because you can cast them. But this keeps relevant ability throughout the game and throws away creatures that have enchantments on them, stopping them from attacking or blocking, or makes your opponent's removal worse because they're going to lose life every time they use it. This card is one of the better cards in our pool, like one-sided -2/-2 to the team. And if Sealed's a bit slower, getting to 7 mana to make a 4/5 flyer is not a big deal either. This guy isn't amazing, but if I have a couple madness cards in my pool. If I have some madness, I want to wait to enable it. This guy is not good, even if you're discarding cards, I think. We'll have a quick look at our artifacts. This guy's like fine filler. I think this card is just good. I think the Steel Dromedary, easy for me to say, is going to be good. I think Brainstorm is bad and limited and will continue to be bad and limited. This guy is filler as well. This guy's probably filler though, I can see him. And another discard outlet that's actually troublesome for some decks to deal with, so some good uncommons. We'll get to our multicolors, and these might dictate, there's a lot of powerful multicolor cards. These might try and dictate what colors we're in a little bit more, where our bombs lie. So I think this guy is pretty much a bomb. 2/3 flyer with just huge amounts of upside. All these are just fine playables besides the bomb. This card's actually not good. It's just if you need a 4-mana 3/5, it's fine. But you're just not going to end up with a Planeswalker that often. Even if you have a Planeswalker, you have to draw this guy and a Planeswalker. I'm going to put him in the playable pile because I think 3/5 is actually fine statted. I think there's a lot of 4-power things going on in this format. Let's put these lands aside for now. Ooh, okay. So we got our first like bomb, I think. This is like 2 reanimation spells in one, as long as you get to untap with it, because it has unearth as well. So this is also high power level. Just going to put it here for the moment. We got I'm running out of a bit of room for our multicolors, so I'll just stack the ones that aren't like exceptional up at the moment. Road and Runes, very good, and it comes with Kavu, which I think in this format is going to be just a 3/3 a lot of the time, but it's a 3/3 that gets to attack and loot, which is fantastic, or rummage, as you say when you discard first. That's just really good. And this card's deceptively good. I think it's just really easy to get multiple counters on it, and its ability is super relevant. So I think like it goes in green and black. This is one of the cards you definitely want to be opening. Then besides that, we have a good removal spell in the red-black. And we have a Courier, which is fine, and Foundry, which I've not been that impressed on. Now, usually when I do this, I'd be trying multiple color combinations, but I don't want to bore you guys too much, so I'm just going to try 1 or 2 decks. I think none of my colors individually stand out, but this is helping guide me a bit. And I want to look at Jund, where I have multiple really good multicolor cards. And I probably want to look at maybe to facilitate my Priest of Felrites, either Abzan or possibly just straight black-white. We're also going to have a quick look. I'm going to flick through here. With the common lands, it's pretty easy. Like you're seeing like how easy it is for me to be in Jund here. Just a clean Jund with 3 tap lands that make different colors. Sorry, 4 tap lands that make different colors. So not only, when I say something like Jund in this format, I don't only mean like green-black with a little splash. You could very easily be a solid 3-color deck as long as your costs aren't too bad. Yeah, so let's have a look at Jund real quick. put these cards with the tokens, the cards we know we don't want to play. Put our other colors here. And straight away, the first thing I liked about Jund was there's a couple of our removal spells, and we can make this guy a 3/3 pretty easily in this deck. We also have a lot of fixing. So it looks like we're not going to use our artifacts. Well, I don't think the affinity deck made it there, so we're going to put that aside for now. I'm just going to pull aside cards I don't think are going to be that good. Suspend cards, deceptively good. The 7/5 Trampler I think is just a very solid playable. We get some nice removal spells on the red. Probably a bit nicer than I thought. I think we have enough playables that we're not looking to play this. It's a really good sideboard card though. You should definitely look out for when it's correct to sideboard in. Bone Shards as well, something I'm not that happy playing unless I'm making maybe multiple squirrels. They're fixing. There's some discard outlets and a little bit of madness. This guy is really good for all these, like we've said, we have a couple here, just like extra effects or extra sack effects. Not actually the biggest fan of this card. I think it's going to be deceptively hard to make enough squirrels to make that worth it. With Converge, I think this is probably pretty good. Another basic land. We have multiple basic land cyclers. It's really nice for this deck. So I think we're looking at this. There's a couple selections that are a little hard here, but these feel a bit marginal. These like are better when you have more counters, and this is just better if you know definitely you're playing against flyers. There's going to be little things that make you cut cards like this and that aren't like exceptionally easy to explain. You just have to kind of play them. Here, I'm not too happy with my 2-drop slot, but I have some good 1-drops. I think I'm making some cuts as I go. I don't think the gnomes are going to make it. You can see mana's a little stretched. So maybe even though this card, I'm thinking though this card's a good playable, double red just isn't worth it for that card. This is secretly a single red, but we have multiple kind of single cards here. Like most of these things we're casting are single colored, except for our very top end when it's going to be easier to have those colors. Now we're just looking at a bunch of removal and fixing at the bottom here. Let's do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 is actually a really nice amount of creatures to be playing. I think people worry about that a little too much. I don't think you really need to be concerning yourself with creature count unless it's very, very low. And you don't think you can win the game. But I've seen a lot of people go, oh, I only have 12 creatures, I need 14. I'm like, well, let's not be cutting removal spells and powerful cards just to facilitate some creatures that are mediocre, you know? So what do you say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. So I have a couple too many playables here. So we're going to just cut a couple. We're going to look at some of the creatures here. I think the Cobra is probably going to make the cut because we need some earlier plays. I think even though we need the earlier plays, I think the initiative isn't good enough with only 1 or 2 madness spells. Like we have some scavenging and stuff as well. If we're going to cut him, we can get rid of one of these madness cards, I think, pretty easily. And I think this is very close. And like the nice thing about pre-releases is my cuts could be wrong here. But in between rounds, I can change my deck. So we're going to cut the familiar as well. And this is closer to what we want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. This is 23. And I actually think I want to play 24. Usually I'd recommend 17 lands in most formats, even up to 18. But we have 2 land cyclers and an abundant harvest here. And they basically act like lands in our deck. We also have the hierarch. So we have a lot of mana sources and we're afraid we're going to get flooded. And I think this deck, knowing what our lands are, instead of looking at the Abzan deck, which actually seems a little shaky to me that I've laid out the Jund deck, we're just going to play this Priest in our main deck. And I think that becomes relatively easy. We can do it off about 1 Plains with double Goldmere Bridge, and we just get to play all this lovely fixing, and I think our deck is just going to be very good. We would play 1 Plains and probably a lot of mountains, because we don't have a lot of mountain fixing, where we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sources of black in our lands. Remember to count these as sources for both colors, and 1, 2, 3, 4 green sources. So we're probably looking at playing like 7, 1 plus this is 6 is 14, and then probably like 2 or 3 forests and maybe less mountains. We don't have that much. We could even consider cutting like one of our early black drops for another creature, though I'm not too sure what that would be at the moment. Oh, sorry, we did forget 1 because we didn't find this out. We could play it. This card's very good, and I would gladly maybe cut this guy's a little medium because we don't have any discard outlets. That makes our mana a bit better, even again with our red being on our removal. Yeah, I think this is what we have to look at, and I think you can see it's really easy to play a multicolor deck. I didn't have to make that many tough choices. We took some synergies like Madness into account, and we made cuts to decent cards, even though there are good Madness enablers, because we went with like Slight Sacrifice and Converge team. That's another reason I want to be in a 4th color. I have multiple very good Converge cards, and I have very good fixing. I don't know if all the decks are going to be this easy to play, but I think you should definitely look like at strategies like this, because Converge cards are very powerful, and there's so much fixing. Like this is not an abnormal amount of fixing for these pools to have. But this is my basic way of going through a deck. I think if I had a little more time, I'd be looking at stuff like Bant. I'd be seeing if these colors are better. At a pre-release, don't be afraid to ask a judge if you can take out a phone, maybe take a picture of your deck, make another deck, compare them, stuff like this. There's a lot of leeway there. At a pre-release, don't be afraid to, you know, ask one of your friends there. We're not going. This isn't super competitive. This is to have fun. It's for us to get better. It's for us to enjoy the new set. And that's the kind of atmosphere you're going to expect at a pre-release when these lockdowns are over. Well, please, if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe to the channel. Plenty more openings, plenty more demos, not only of Magic, but we're going to have board games, Yu-Gi-Oh!, anything you want to see that's to do with the shop in those videos. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment to tell me what deck you would have made with this. See you next time.